By a show of hands, how many people think they're awesome? Just raise your hand. If your hand isn't raised, raise it anyway. Everybody's hand should be up, including you. All hands up. And for those of you at home, watching at home on Facebook Live, go ahead and put on the comments, I am awesome. And let us know just how awesome you are. And with that, it took me 40 years to accept my awesomeness. And for the past couple of years, there's just a lot of people just giving me hints and reminders of that awesomeness. And it was a bit of a struggle to accept. And a lot of this is all about acceptance and accepting who we are. And it can be like pulling nails to even accept that you're awesome, accept your qualities and the things you're good at and the things that you offer community. And it's also difficult to accept the things that we dislike about ourselves, our shadowy aspects. When you first start off with the road to acceptance, when we're opening to ourselves, we find this box. There's a little box that we put ourselves in. And the things we don't like, we put down into that box. And the things that make us shine, we even put down into that box. But the first thing that's going to come out of that box is the things that are shadowy. Those are always the first to come out. And we deal with those and we face those. And for some of us, it is easier to face those, and others can be a bit of a challenge, especially if you have health issues. Whenever you have a health issue, you have to come to the terms of that health issue, that yes, I have this, and it can be hard to look at, and it can be hard to accept. But for me, I had a lot of health issues starting from when a child throughout my teenage years, and I still carry some of those or remnants of those. And what really helped me with accepting some of those is looking for things that these things had for me, had to offer. So everything has something to offer us. It's how we want to look at it. We can look at it, I have this, I'm this victim, and give me sympathy, okay? Okay. But that's not the right way to go about doing it. It's, I have this. What is this here to teach me? For example, I became asthmatic when I was 8. And working with that asthma, I grew to understand that I need to learn a lot about love. And a good example of that is when I was down at Johnson's Shut-ins. I had to go back to the car and grab my camera so I could take a picture of this snake that was off on the side of the whatever. And I want to get a picture of this because when it comes to nature, I'm just all OCD and no, OCD isn't the right one. It's you can say enthusiastic, yes, enthusiastic is a good one. And so I was coming back to where this animal was, and I started wheezing. And I kind of slowed it down, and I'm like, you know what? I love you. And as soon as I said I love you, the wheezing just went away. And although it doesn't work all the time, it does work, and it really opened that door for, I have this because I'm struggling with love and learning how to love myself. Even accepting love from others, that it's a two-way street. But when it comes to loving yourself, it's a you first thing. And so there was that. So I had to unbox that. And then we get to a point where stuff just starts coming out of the box on its own. And we gotta handle that stuff that's just coming out of that box. It's just left and right, left and right, left and right. And if we're not careful, if too much comes out of the box at once, it can be overwhelming, and we can get drawn into that, and we even lose further sight of who we really are. But sooner or later, all that stuff is out of the box. You've able to accept and embrace, and even at times, there's still things that come out that embraces. And the more you embrace yourself for those things, the more love and compassion you have for yourself, the easier it can be to embrace those. And now, the tricky part of that. Embracing you for your qualities and for what you bring to the table. That's even harder than accepting your flaws. Because if you look at it at a scale as though this is easy and this is near impossible. So when you look at your flaws, you're about here. But when you look at what you bring to the table, it's closer to here, next to near impossible. With that, as we learn to unpack that, we start going through changes and we start learning about ourselves. And when we're going through those changes and learning about ourselves, there's one important fact. You are the last one to notice any kind of change. So when your box is empty, you're the last one to know your box is empty. Everybody's like, dude, your box is empty. Look how awesome you are. And we're like, well, that's like, I mean, I'm working on myself every day, You know what I'm saying? How many of us can come up with an excuse for something that we're doing that everybody's just like, oh wow, that's so amazing. And I was like, oh yeah, that's nothing, That's called an excuse. And when it comes to what you bring to the table, there are no excuses. There's acceptance, and there's also thank you. Thank you to yourself. Thank you to others. That it's important to know what we bring to the table. And the more you open yourself up, you unpack your box, the more people are going to see what you had stuffed down in that box. And they're going to be like, hey, that's awesome, I like that, that's cool. And instead of like, oh, well, that's just, whatever. Try instead maybe, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. There is I was reading in this book, we had a speaker about a month ago, and she wrote a book that's 52 steps, one step every week. And this week I just opened up to the 4th step, which is all about love. And one of the things she talked about was accepting yourself as a form of love. And when you deny yourself, you're showing fear. There's a fearful side. You want to kind of, I don't want anybody to see this. So it's important to be able to open that up and let that out and air out your box, And with that, we're going to get back to what we bring to the table. Everybody here has something to offer. Whether you're like a history buff, or you do money stuff, or you're here. You have stories. You've shared your stories. Even your own hardships, and you're overcoming your hardships. You bring that strength to the table. And sometimes it can take a lot of courage to even pull anything out of that box. And just the act of pulling something out of that box is awesome. All right, so with packing ourselves out, we get to a place where we can accept ourselves as a whole. We're standing in the middle of the yin and the yang. With our shadowy selves and our lighter selves. When we can embrace both sides, we become whole. And as we become whole, we can get a place to where we can be more compassionate and more loving to ourselves. And we're more compassionate and loving to ourselves. Guess what? We are more compassionate and loving to others. And that is another awesome trait you can add to your kit, your toolbox, whatever. But don't lock that away so no one can see it. Let everybody see that. You know, it all comes down to self-expression and how we express ourselves. Do we express ourselves like we're hiding stuff from society, from our community? Do we keep it off the table and wonder, what do I have to bring to the table? Or do we allow it to be on the table for everyone to see and everyone to enjoy? I now ask, so how many people got a piece of paper and a pen on their seat? Does everybody have one? Okay, we're going to do a little exercise here. Don't worry, you don't gotta like stretch, you can stay seated. I want you to just take a minute and write down an affirmation, something you are amazing for. And if you can't think of anything off the top of your head, just write, I am amazing. Okay, now, here's the fun part. To the person sitting next to you, tell them your affirmation. All right. Now that felt good, didn't that? Yeah. So step 3 is to go home, look in the mirror, and tell yourself that affirmation. And if you really want to challenge yourself, repeat that affirmation 5 to 10 times. And any kind of doubt that shows up, anything that says, no, you're not, no, that's total BS.
No.
You go, and on the other side of that piece of paper, you write another affirmation, telling that voice why that voice was wrong. That is the second affirmation, which is the true affirmation. I'm reading this book called The Artist's Way. And in that book, that's a technique that she wrote into the book for all artists, because artists are very critical about themselves. And oh, my art isn't this, and my art isn't that, and when you write an affirmation that, oh, my art is amazing, there might be this little, man, your art is nothing. You see that artist over there, they're even younger than you are, and better than you are. It's like, oh, am I putting myself? No, my art is amazing. So that second affirmation is there to establish you for who you are. And it puts you in a place to embrace your lighter self, your higher self. And the more you accept yourself, the more loving of a person you become. Even if you already are a loving person, you'll even be that more amazing. So, with that said, I would like to thank everybody for putting up with me this morning.